Destiny 2 Portal sucks. Alright, I'm half serious. But how do we come back from something like this? As me and many of the remaining community have said a million times, the Portal hasn't felt good for Destiny 2 at all. But what's the alternative now that we're stuck here? I personally have been playing Festival of the Lost and the new Call to Arms event, and I've been thinking to myself a lot about what the next steps could look like post Renegades. As Bungie has already stated, the power cap will not increase, nor will our power reset, at least for Renegades. But I'm curious as to what happens after. Do we see a change in how tiered loot is earned, or do we get slapped with another arbitrary number to chase for guaranteed drops? I'll be honest, my experience with Destiny has changed a lot since they made power leveling easier. I went from being forever 400 to now almost being 550. I've had guaranteed tier 5 drops for quite some time, and it feels really good, but it's also going to suck a bit when I lose that ability, inevitably. This is kind of one of the glaring issues in my opinion, because they rolled out such a massive change with Edge of Fate, and now if they deviate too far away from it, the game might not have anybody come back. Maybe. They can either raise the power cap so tier 5s won't drop like candy for a while, but that won't really fix much, or they can change the system entirely to make it a system where tier 5s come from challenge over light level. And it's to the point where I fear, regardless of what they do, it's going to upset a sizable amount of people, at least those who are still playing the game. On one hand, I do miss getting adept loot from raids, things like Vault of Glass with 3 perks in each column, and a special added touch. Gun had a special name, special look, and it showed that I did a master raid and pulled off the challenge associated with that encounter. On the other hand, there's casual gamers who have just played nothing but Portal back to back and now have tier 5 showers without ever having to touch a raid or play any sort of quote unquote challenge outside of hand-picked Portal modifiers. Or pretty much until you hit 500, because at that point you do have to select quite a bit of negative modifiers if you want an A tier, unless you do a matchmade activity. But regardless of what they do, the tier system is in the game to stay now. And one way or another, Bungie's going to have to make them hard to obtain again at some point. And with the state of Destiny, I don't know a lot of people who will want to work for that again. And I mean, hell, all my friends have already jumped ship. I met some of my greatest friends on this game. We played every day, and now I either solo every bit of content or just find a group through LFG if I'm lucky enough to find a chat in the Discord server that's not completely barren. And speaking of power level, look no further than the new Call to Arms event if you want to see Destiny fatigue. You either need to be 550 power or close to it if you want scores that are going to net you that coveted helmet. Now, Bungie already stated they're listening to feedback on the event, so I imagine that'll get changed soon, but it still leaves the question, why in the world did it launch that way anyways? There cannot be a single soul at Bungie who didn't think this would piss people off. An event that's supposed to be based off of a challenge is worthless if you're not a high enough power. I did some proving grounds and the heliostat mission for this event. My two teammates were both 550 and I was around 520. We did the same missions with the same modifiers. We're at fixed power deltas, so it was the same difficulty for all of us, but they got around 2.9 million score in the top 1%, while I barely scratched 2.6. Now, luckily, I was able to get top 1% on the salt mines, but I got extremely lucky with a high value target spawning to give me additional score. Without that spawn, it would have been a completely useless run, and with people at 550 constantly pushing the boundaries of how much score they can earn, it's only going to get harder for people to get that threshold for the top whatever percent to earn that helmet. And it just comes back full circle. Since the start of this new saga, the number one pain point, aside from the portal in general, has been the grueling power level system. I'll say it again, grinding an arbitrary number, it's not fun, and it's not content. Now, a couple months ago, we were promised a roadmap, and people were bombarding Twitter for weeks asking if it was ever coming, and there was complete radio silence until around November 4th when a Twitter user replied to a tweet of DMG quoting the Renegades trailer, where he expressed that it still wasn't ready. We've just kind of gotten to a point where veteran players that are still holding on, they're just holding on with apathy, popcorn in hand, just waiting for the next slip up. Now, yesterday, at least at the time of recording, Bungie released a long list of patch notes full of exotic buffs and or changes, as well as changes to the new gear system. One of my biggest pain points, and probably the best thing they covered in this, is the fact that they've scrapped the featured exotic new gear system and are now making all exotics featured. It should have been a thing in the first place, but a win is a win. There's some nice buffs and changes in there that might prove pretty nice in Renegades when all these changes go live. I don't want to cover the whole list myself, but if you're interested in Destiny, go give it a read. Ultimately, it seems like we're kind of stuck in a constant loop of one step forward, two steps back. We're sort of stuck in limbo, not knowing what's coming next, and it's not a great feeling, naturally. I know a lot of people will shrug their shoulders and sigh at my take on this, but a change this big never should have made it to the game. I say it should have happened in Destiny 3, but I gotta be completely honest, if by some miracle we actually got a Destiny 3 and it launched with these systems, I would probably refund the game on the spot. I truly do miss the heresy build of this game. I miss seeing crazy damage numbers. Shooting feels amazing in Destiny. It's always been one of the greatest parts of the franchise. Everyone always talks about it, but the damage numbers being crunched so small with Edge of Fate, I gotta be honest, it feels very lacking nowadays. I don't know if other people feel this way, but it has been a major pain point for me. It really does feel like this game just can't get a win. I mean, recently we've had data come out where it shows all player numbers for Destiny, showing that we are lower than Curse of Osiris numbers, which is terrible. People are comparing the Destiny Rising roadmap that just came out. A mobile game got a roadmap before us. You know what I mean? It's not good. Okay, little editor's note. Bit awkward. While I was wrapping up this video and getting everything ready, Bungie did drop a tweet. So it seems like they're going to be fixing some of the pain points with the Call to Arms event in particular. It seems like you will have to be 500 still to get the same bonus as everyone else in the high scores at least. So pretty much unlock ultimate difficulty, get 500, and everyone will be on the same level playing field at that level at least. So that's wonderful. Bungie has just proven that a small channel with 800 subs is not a Bungie insider with the know-how. I do not have insider information, and my call to arms rant is kind of niche now. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a sub. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much, and as always, take care.